Colorado trumpet artist stabbed, burned, and wrapped in plastic before a suspect is killed. When the body of musician Scott Sessions was found nearly decapitated in the center of the Rocky Mountains, investigators from local jurisdictions began searching for a suspect. A series of breakthroughs in the case revealed that Sessions, 53, had gone on a date but never returned. Forensic data tracking and civilian surveillance helped detectives find the killer. Let's explore this case right now. On Monday, February 10th, 2020, Sessions did not appear for a performance at the Candlelight Dinner Playhouse, where he was scheduled to play trumpet in a sold-out concert. Deep down, I had a bad feeling, Sessions' bandmate George Gray said. His former bandmates also explained that Sessions always arrived early for his performances. The next day, Scott's father, Stan Sessions, reported his son missing. Shortly after, police informed Stan Sessions that Scott's body had been found by a snowplow driver near Poudre Canyon. The body was deliberately burned and wrapped in plastic, and that plastic was tied and taped. Sergeant Jerry Porter of the Weld County Sheriff's Office explained. The autopsy revealed that Sessions' throat was cut so severely that it was almost decapitated. There was anger in this. It's horrifying how someone was treated and then handled this way. No one deserves this. Larimer County Inspector Justin Atwood said, "The news of the murder shocked Sessions' friends and family. Who would want to kill my Scotty?" his frail mother cried out. Investigators searched Sessions' home, hoping to find clues pointing to a motive or the killer. They analyzed data from Sessions' mobile phone to try to determine his last location. Atwood said, "Those records will also tell you the last phone call, the last phone call received, or the last phone number you texted." Eventually, they concluded that his phone had last signaled 3 miles from his home. Police searched the area and found Sessions' car in a supermarket parking lot. The keys were still in the ignition and floor mats were outside the car. When they retrieved footage from nearby security cameras, they could see someone stepping out of the driver's seat, walking around the car, and then eventually walking away from the car. Weld County District Attorney Steve Wren told 2020ths. The video was recorded the day after Sessions' body was discovered, so the authorities knew he was not the one driving. A major breakthrough in the case occurred when investigators gained access to Sessions' Facebook Messenger account using a password retrieved from his home. Scott was chatting on Facebook Messenger with someone we identified as Heather Frank. Detective Atwood recalled, Heather Frank was a local waitress whom Sessions had recently met and coincidentally encountered. It seemed like she really liked Scott. She was a very beautiful woman, and I remember her expression when she looked at Scott. His bandmate Eddie Gavaldon recalled, Frank, a divorced mother of 3, was described by friends and family as cheerful and stylish. In an interview, Heather's eldest son, Alexander McLaughlin, described them as inseparable and best friends. It was clear to their friends that Sessions and Frank were connected by their shared love of music. Sessions' last conversation with Frank was on February 8th. The couple planned to meet at her apartment. Detectives ultimately concluded that Sessions' phone had run out of battery or was turned off early in the morning of February 9th inside Frank's apartment. Frank was considered the last person to see Sessions alive. Police began following her and saw her with a man, whom they then identified as Kevin Eastman, her on and off boyfriend for over 5 years. Background checks revealed the couple had a volatile relationship with multiple reports of domestic violence. Eastman had pleaded guilty in 2015 to a misdemeanor assault against Frank. He probably proposed 3 or 4 times that I know of. Kimberly Shearer, Frank's close friend, recalled, she didn't want to be tied down to that, but no matter how hard she tried to stay away from him, each time things would become more difficult. Police subpoenaed Frank and Eastman's mobile phone records and found they were in the apartment with Sessions. They also knew that just a few hours after Sessions' mobile phone went dark, Frank and Eastman's mobile phones moved together toward Poudre Canyon, where Sessions' body was later found. Security cameras outside an outdoor theater detected Eastman's car heading west up the canyon and going down within a 3-hour time frame. Mobile phone records also showed Eastman and Frank returning to her apartment after leaving the canyon. This major breakthrough in the case led detectives to issue arrest warrants for Heather Frank and Kevin Eastman to gather more evidence. Investigators tracked Eastman and Frank's movements by placing tracking devices on their vehicles and a surveillance camera in front of Frank's house. On the evening of February 15th, Frank was seen leaving her apartment with Eastman closely behind. Frank, seemingly unsteady on her feet, sat in the passenger seat of Eastman's car. The next day, Eastman's car was tracked driving through Colorado rural areas and stopping multiple times. Lieutenant Donnie Robbins of Larimer County, who was tracking Eastman's activities, became suspicious. He thought Eastman might be destroying crucial evidence. Robbins later observed Eastman overseeing a large fire on the property of former owner Troy Bonnell. When Eastman drove into a nearby gas station, he was arrested. During interrogation, Eastman was pressed about Frank's whereabouts. He claimed he had not seen Frank but suggested she might be at work. Video of his interrogation showed that when detectives left Eastman alone in the room, he acted strangely, at times kneeling and praying, then singing Amazing Grace. ABC News national correspondent Matt Gutman asked Detective Atwood, "Do you think this was just an act?" Atwood explained, "It could be, or he was truly feeling stressed. You could hear his breathing. He was breathing deeply, because I think he was beginning to feel some pressure about the direction of this conversation." After several hours, the interrogation was interrupted. Another body had been found inside a burn pit on Bonnell's land. Investigators would find Heather Frank's body. At that moment, Eastman was charged with the deaths of Scott Sessions and Heather Frank. It took over 2 years for Eastman's trial to begin. This case involves domestic violence, and we want to ensure the jury understands that power and control ultimately killed Heather Frank and Scott Sessions. Weld County Deputy District Attorney Yvette Guthrie shared, DNA evidence showed Eastman had ambushed Sessions with a large knife inside the entrance. On the other hand, the defense claimed that it was not Eastman but Frank who killed Sessions, and Eastman had helped dispose of the body. On July 20th, 2022, the jury found Kevin Eastman, 50, guilty of first-degree murder for killing Heather Frank and Scott Sessions. Eastman was sentenced to 2 consecutive life terms plus an additional 27 years in Colorado corrections. He continues to maintain his innocence and is currently in the process of appealing his case. On the day Eastman was sentenced, Stan Sessions issued a victim impact statement saying, "I will not let him or anyone else determine my happiness for the rest of my life." Others who loved Sessions found it difficult to forgive. "I wish I could forgive him the way Scott Sessions' father forgave him." "I'm not there," said Sherry Peef, Sessions' longtime friend. The case was not just a story about a murderer, but a warning about the danger of domestic violence and the devastating consequences it brings. 2 lives were lost: Scott, a talented musician, and Heather, a loving mother, testament to the cruelty of sorrow and hatred. In the final musical note of the trial, an image of Scott playing trumpet was projected, a tribute to a talent extinguished too soon. And in that moment, no one could hold back tears in the face of this tragic story.